start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I live by the old code of second floor!
Why look for a scientific explanation when you can put blind trust in an invisible Sky Daddy?
Sky Daddy all the way.
Yo, what's your crappy sitcom? Turn up full volume, why don't you?
Aubrey, weird, I can't even get through my couch!
Well, we're back again.
Back again.
It's been 1 week since the Pope has died. I don't know why that it does feel like we were just talking about that.
Yeah. I think I was here 2 nights ago.
Huh.
Have you seen this whole this 100 man versus one gorilla thing on that's trending?
I'm not.
I don't know if it's on all. I've only been on X lately, but it's this thing going around. It's just a question. It's what would happen? Who would win? 100 men
Or a gorilla.
or one versus one gorilla?
Dang.
Yeah.
Do the men have anything? Or is it just
No, just bare hands. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
100? I'm trying to visualize 100 people. What does 100 people look like? I think we had 100. I think we had a little bit less than 200 people at our wedding. So if I'm thinking about that, so maybe a little bit less than half of that amount. All men. Are they your size or my size?
I don't know.
Because that's a big deal.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, that is the question. It's what's the capability of these dudes?
Are they all jacked?
Yeah.
Or is it a mix? Is it a mix of guys? Man, I don't know. There's so many variables, I feel like.
Let's just say they're all jacked. Let's say it's 100 John Jones. Do you think they would stand a chance?
I just don't think that the gorilla's gonna get tired, or that I'm just wondering how they even heard it.
Yeah, that's my question.
How do you what's the attack strategy?
Because one, you gotta get through their hair or fur, whatever, which is super thick, and then I mean, dude, just the density of their muscle and their skin.
Are we talking a full-grown dominant gorilla?
Yeah. In my mind, the only way you have a chance is by taking out his eyes or something like that, bro.
Yeah, it's gotta be. You gotta go eyes, genitals, nose. That's I feel like your only thing, and it's gotta kind of be I feel like if it's, the 100 guys running at them, not gonna work. But if you have somehow get them all at the same time on top of it,
yes,
maybe, and you're attacking all those things, maybe you have a shot. I just don't.
Maybe, yeah, that's the thing.
I just don't think so.
Let's say you try to you jump on its back and you try to rear naked it or something.
No shot.
Yeah, it's would a human being even have the strength to choke it out?
All right. Let's ask ChatGPT.
Dude, it's so funny because I literally read an entire post on X of this guy breaking it down. What would happen? So stupid.
Let's say that they're they're your height and weight. So 6'2", 215 pounds, let's say.
Yeah.
All right. 6'2", 215 pounds. Let's say strong, capable. versus a full-grown gorilla. Would 100 men of this type of man have a chance of beating in hand-to-hand combat? Okay. Okay, so it's going like NFL linebacker level strength, like
Okay.
like deadlifting 600 pounds. Oh, okay, no, deadlifting average very strong man deadlifting 400 to 500. Okay.
Okay.
Male gorilla, height 5'5" to 5'9", weight 300 to 500 pounds.
Oh my god.
Full-grown silverback gorilla is about 4 to 10 times stronger than the strongest human. Estimated deadlift probably over 2,000 pounds. Extrapolated from muscle fiber density and biometrics. Grip strength 1,300 to 2,000 psi, compared to a human's 300 to 400 psi.
Oh my gosh.
Combat attributes. Gorilla's bite strength is 1,300 psi compared to the human 150. Arm strength of a gorilla is superhuman, 4 to 10 times. Agility, surprisingly agile for size. Yeah, I would say so. Okay, so its bone density is 2 to 3 times human bone density. It says fighting ability, trained in technique versus raw power, instinctual, brutal attacks. Important note, a gorilla doesn't fight clean. It would bite, tear, crush bones with its hands, and smash skulls. Scenario 1. 100 strong, fit men, no weapons, hand-to-hand combat. Gorilla fighting for its life, will not hesitate. Factors to consider: initial casualties. A gorilla could easily kill or maim a human instantly with a single strike or bite. Expect dozens of immediate casualties. Many humans would freeze or panic witnessing the first brutal kills. If all 100 men dogpile the gorilla at once, okay, focusing on immobilizing limbs and suffocating it, there is a slight chance. They'd have to risk death and keep coming even as men are being torn apart.
I feel that's pretty accurate. I
feel like we were pretty fair.
Yeah.
Time frame. The longer the fight, the worse it gets. The gorilla's endurance, although not infinite, is more than enough to kill scores of humans before tiring. Chokehold, break limbs, ? Very hard. A gorilla's bones are extremely thick. A human armbar or choke would be almost useless unless multiple men piled on to pin each limb. Realistic outcome. Most likely, the gorilla wins easily, killing or severely injuring the majority before being overwhelmed, if ever. Slight chance. If the men coordinated perfectly, sacrificed themselves willingly, and overwhelm it immediately, they could kill or suffocate it. Real world prediction, I'd estimate a less than 5% chance of victory for the humans. At least 50 plus men would die even in a, quote, win. Summary: 100 strong, capable, 6'2", 250 pound men might, with heavy casualties, barely have a chance to kill a full-grown gorilla, but it would take perfect coordination, total fearlessness, and huge sacrifices. Otherwise, the gorilla would absolutely wreck them.
I think that's pretty solid, dude.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. That's me.
It said, would you also like me to model an even more extreme version, like 500 men, or if the men were trained in grappling? It gets interesting depending on how we tweak it. What were you saying that guy broke down on X?
It was like the same thing.
Oh,
he just
okay.
like broke it down. Like, yeah, he's like, yeah, first of all, probably the first like 10, 15 dudes.
Done.
Yeah, they're like dead silly. Like,
Did you know Joe Rogan would have a field day
oh yeah, yeah.
with that question?
Yeah. Gosh. I mean, it's crazy that people like did that back, like, I mean, kind of
Back in the day.
during like the Roman time, dude, the Colosseum,
Yeah.
just throwing dudes out there with lions and
Ooh,
all
I
kinds
wonder
of crap.
if were there ever gorillas in the Roman Colosseum? That is an interesting question. Dang, no historical evidence. Bummer. Lions, tigers, leopards, elephants, crocodiles, hippos, bears, and rhinoceroses. Wow.
I mean, I guess usually they would give the gladiators weapons of some sort, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think, yeah, sometimes they gave them weapons, sometimes they didn't. So they just threw them in there. Jeez. It's wild, like, how brutal things used to be, and that was normal.
Yeah.
Like, we live in such a
It's so crazy to think
soft
about.
reality compared to that.
Yeah. You know, I've actually thought a lot about this over the past like couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna say this. Okay.
Speak freely.
Because it's something you hear a lot nowadays, right? Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're so soft. Even like, you know, someone like Andrew Tate, dude,
Mm-hmm.
compared to someone like, I don't know, back then, who's just like around these, I don't know, like vicious, like killings, you know, of like people.
Yeah.
Like we don't know what that's like, dude. We really don't. So, and we really like, especially our generation, really don't know what it's like to be in war,
Mm-mm.
like at all.
Mm-mm.
But with that said, I think that I really think that like we've talked about this a little bit before. Like the battle that like our generation faces with this like technology and all this, I don't know, kind of like suppression.
Yeah.
I think in a way is just as difficult as like any other war.
Really?
I think so, dude. I think so. I think you could make the case for it.
What is your case for it?
Because no other humans in history have gone through what we're going through right now. As in like the acceleration of technology, like development, the phones, the connection we all have, like all those are great things, obviously. But everything in I don't know, dude, like in our lives that is like trying to suppress you as an individual, like, you know,
take your attention from you, take your
yeah,
dignity from you.
yes,
Take your time.
I would argue that's like almost, I feel like sometimes almost worse. Because as a person, especially, I mean, especially for me, like as a male, like a man, I feel like, it's super cheesy, but if you like, if I lose my dignity, like as a person, as a man,
Yeah.
then I feel like I've lost everything, right?
Yeah.
Like I have no purpose in life,
Yeah.
and that just sucks.
Yeah.
And I think now more than ever, it's easiest to lose that, you know? Because like
Okay,
back
I see what you're
then, if
saying.
you're like a man and it was very hard to live just like I don't know.
An aimless life.
Yes, yes.
Dang. That's a
Like
good
you
point.
always either had like, some like a
Mm-hmm.
duty, like you're providing for your family, you have like literally a physical job to do
Yeah.
that requires labor, like hard labor, or like a war to fight, like that gives a lot of purpose.
Yeah, it does.
And right now, like if you have an entire generation of people without that, then I feel like that could lead to like a scary. I mean, then you get into like Matrix kind of stuff, where everyone's like living in a freaking pod,
Yeah.
or because we've just allowed it to happen, like gradually,
Right.
But then if you have that conversation, then you go down the route of like, there's countless conspiracies of whoever trying to dominate us, right? Like them out there. And I feel like for me, the way I see it is that whether you believe in that stuff or not, in my opinion, I think it's almost better to believe in it.
Because it gives you purpose.
Because it gives you it gives you like a sense of something to fight for. And like you're fighting for literally like yourself, like your dignity as an individual,
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the pushback on that would probably be like what I think in like a most extreme example is like, us having to storm the beaches of Normandy versus like fighting dopamine addiction. But
I mean, yes, yeah.
Like that's a huge contrast. But
yes,
you're talking more about purpose than I think as a man, like you're talking about the purpose of your soul basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like what is a higher calling than like defending your homeland, your family, right? Like
yeah.
So in that sense, they didn't have to sacrifice their purpose. They were sacrificing for their purpose. Like they were sacrificing themselves.
Yeah.
In war,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For their purpose. But today it's like a lot of times I think our generation sacrifices their purpose and trying to find like, okay, what am I here for? In the like social media, pornography, like all these things, excessive technology kind of like does everything it can to kind of suck that out of you, that desire to do something, right? Like you scroll on social media and you're just like, wow, I don't want to do anything right now.
Yeah.
And I think it seems like that's kind of what you're talking about.
Yes. But in reality, I truly think that like the long-term effects of that can be, I mean, gosh, I don't know. Obviously, it's not like I'm saying it can be more dangerous, and obviously not in a way. It's nothing compared to storming the beaches of Normandy. Like that's, I literally couldn't imagine going through something like that, right?
Yeah.
But
you're saying like it's so detrimental it's more detrimental to society to not know what you're fighting.
But not only that, like with the rise of technology and then like the suppression of the human, aspiration, desire, purpose, whatever, it gives like if a dictator came into power, with like, you know, with these advances of technology like at his disposal, it would be so easy to just like wipe out like an entire, I mean,
Yeah.
society, you know?
Yeah. Or control them.
Or control them, yes. Which
So you're saying, okay, so you're saying that what our generation or what we're facing as a society today is obviously different than what
yes.
the previous generations faced, but it's like almost it can be so subtle that
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
the subtlety is the danger, in the sense of like
Yes.
the technology is quantum leaping at a rate that is so, like I remember just 5 years ago in 2020, we didn't have AI, we didn't have any of this.
Yeah.
And now it's like there's freaking quantum computers. And, you know, I guess I don't know if those were around then either, but it just seems like they're talking about it more and more now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously we have AI.
Those are around. Yeah.
And you're saying that like that is its own or worse danger because of the scale of it.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. With the suppression of that like purpose as like as a person, you know? Yeah. I mean, because I mean, yeah, dude. If China or whoever unleashed like drones, you know, on our country, like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah. No,
Or
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
yeah, like yeah. I just think I don't know. Like me personally, it just feels like it takes so much effort to resist all of like the stuff, you know?
All the noise.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like bad food, obviously, like fast food. It's so easy to eat fast food, or like like processed food. It's so easy to.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to really be disciplined.
Yeah.
To eat healthy, and then two, like everything is so easily accessible that it's really easy not to exercise.
True.
Like and stay fit, like physically fit. So you have to really be disciplined to do that.
True.
And like three, even just like not like being like having knowledge, like being I don't know, like it's so easy to just have information on our phone that
you don't actually know what you're
exactly. Yeah. Like all those things. I mean, even like sexual temptation, right?
Yeah.
Like it's in our face everywhere, and it takes so much effort to resist it and to like to keep like a clean mind.
Yes.
Right? Like all those things. It's like all these things are just, they take such a crazy amount of discipline to be like a well-balanced individual.
Yes.
You know?
It does. It's like it's almost like a fallacy of comfort or ease, where it's like, oh well, things should be better because there's more availability. But it actually kind of almost works the opposite, where it's like it is just so much easier to be dependent.
Yeah.
Because you have so many choices of comfort than it is for a farmer in freaking the 1600s or whatever.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
it's just different. Like, yeah,
It is different.
We have
It's different.
so much
Yes.
more. There's so much more access, of course, but like you're talking about the downsides.
Yeah.
Right? Like the major downside is like, why memorize things when you could just look it up?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Or like, why grow your own food when you could go to Chipotle or like go down the street for like, why? It's just humans naturally crave ease, pleasure over pain, all that, right?
Yes.
And so it just makes it, I think I saw something where it was like, you know, of all the kings put together who've ever existed, uh, a teenage boy can see more perversion than in one like 1 week than all the kings did in their lifetimes because of because of your phone, which is crazy,
That is crazy,
to think
dude,
about.
yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yes.
And you could probably go down the line with a lot of that too, with like food and
Food, yeah.
comfort
I mean,
and knowledge and
yeah.
right, like
I could go to CC's and eat like a freaking king.
Eat like a
dude,
king.
for $8. Like, that's crazy.
no, you're bringing up an interesting point. I think we have a tendency to think about what people would say to that and be like, well, I'm not really, like try to like pad it a little bit, but
Yeah.
like just you're saying that like it's different and it's brings its own challenges.
Yes.
And there's always going to be boomers that are like, well, you don't know what it's like. And yeah, we
Yeah.
don't. But you don't know what it's like for us either.
Yes.
So like it's a
Yes.
two-way street, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
What's
It's-
interesting, sorry.
No, go ahead.
What's interesting is I think that with the fourth turning, especially,
Mm.
I think that there's just going to come a point where all this comes to a head, probably in the next like 5 to 10 years. Which, number one, I think is going to do two things fundamentally. And this is from the book, The Fourth Turning. I think that it's going to, one, give our generation purpose.
Mm.
Because it's going to be something so crazy that you have no choice but to like all the things that we can now just mooch on or care about, like, go have a career, go do these things. Like it's all going to shift probably in one like radical moment. Just the same way when World War II started, it was like a radical shift of, oh, well, I thought I was going to go to college and go do this, but like I just got drafted.
Yeah.
And if I don't go, like if we don't win this war, I may never like live my life the way I want to.
Yeah.
So it's like a very huge cataclysmic yes or no type event is typically what happens. And it sucks because it takes away all the things that we know as life and reality in middle America right now. But like, I think that they'll somehow still get integrated with whatever happens. It's just so fascinating to think about that. Cause it's like right now it's, we don't have to worry about those things, like a major event happening.
Yeah.
Right. Like we're not having to go get drafted. We're not having to go do these things. But like you said, the consequence of that sometimes is a lack of purpose, a lack of a lack of something greater than ourselves for most people.
Yeah.
It's a generalization, but so that's what's interesting to me about the fourth turning is like that kind of gets flipped on its head.
Yes. Yeah. It's gosh, dude, every time we talk about the fourth turning, it makes my mind go. I'm like what's gonna happen? I just like try to, I don't know, like imagine, okay, what's the worst possible scenario? Then like, what's the best? Like, what am I gonna do? Gosh.
I think what I think about is it's almost like, okay, what does society say that you're supposed to go do, and what, you just kind of take, you can go down the line and you can take all the things that make our lives a reality right now. And that would be like get a job or start a business, get a family, save in your 401ks, your IRAs, like save for retirement, have a couple kids, get married.
Yeah.
Go hang out on Friday with the boys, right? Like you can just kind of go down the list. You can take a vacation a year. You can kind of go down the list. I just think about like pretty much all of that gets just dumped out the window in a turning like that.
Do you think the turning would be a war though? Like, do you think it's 2028, 2029? Like this major crisis event being a war?
Major events that spark or that say mark the climax. Wait. Also use the most recent book. The fourth. One of the co-authors wrote a book called "The Fourth Turning Is Here."
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I think one of the co-authors died.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, the fourth turning is a major decisive event. It's often violent or massively transformative, which permanently changes society structure. So 1770s to 1780s was the American Revolution. 1860s was the Civil War. 1930 to 40s was Great Depression and World War II. Each climax involved war or internal rebellion, severe economic hardship, massive political restructuring, spiritual or cultural rebirth afterwards. The general pattern is an existential crisis forces society to completely redefine itself with new institutions, leadership, values, and even borders sometimes. And so in the most recent book, Neil Howe argues that we are already inside the fourth turning, which started around 2008, and the climax will probably hit sometime between 2025 and 2030. This will be the most dangerous period for America in living memory. The outcome's not predetermined. It could lead to renewal or collapse depending on leadership, sacrifice, and national unity. Possible major climax events. Civil war, internal conflict, deep political polarization, loss of trust in federal authority, possible secession attempts, points to deep red and blue divides, major external war, rising tensions with China, Russia, global powers, could explode into major conflict, economic collapse, huge government debt, broken social safety nets, banking instability could lead to a 1930s level economic depression, authoritarianism or political revolution, loss of faith in democracy could trigger a shift towards dictatorship, or conversely, a grassroots democratic revival. Technological disruption, AI, cyber warfare, bioweapons, emerging tech could destabilize governments, economies, and even societies globally. Generational revolt. Younger generations, millennials and Gen Z, may clash heavily with boomers over power, wealth, and national priorities. And the author stresses that the coming crisis could involve several of these happening at once. Just like World War I involved war, political upheaval, genocide, and economic destruction at the same time. Critical points. Cycles don't guarantee positive outcomes. The U.S. won the fourth turnings of the past, but the Roman Empire didn't survive its last cycles. Leadership matters more than fate. Good leadership during fourth turnings leads to renewal. Lincoln during Civil War, FDR during World War II. Sacrifice will be demanded. Comfortable life patterns must be broken to forge a new system. Okay, so that's interesting. But my follow-up question would be, as a 25-year-old, how could our role transform in the climax of the fourth turning? And how could what we are preached society should be, or what's a way to word this? How could what we are told we should do to be successful in life dramatically change. Okay, in the fourth turning model, people your age, roughly early millennials or late Gen Z, are at the front lines of the transformation. Younger adults become soldiers, activists, builders, leaders during the fourth turnings. Historically, it's people aged 20 to 40 who take the greatest risks and build the new world because older generations either can't adapt or hold on too tightly to the old ways. This means you'll likely be forced or called to fight, literally or metaphorically, for survival in new institutions and new culture, step into leadership roles earlier than expected, make bigger sacrifices, career, comfort, even safety, for a long-term purpose, redefine what normal life even looks like. You are the generation that will shape what comes after the storm. It's not optional. History is thrusting it onto you. How the definition of success might dramatically change. What you were told pre-crisis: get a degree, specialize, climb the corporate ladder, earn good money, buy a house, invest steadily, build your brand online, optimize your life for efficiency, stay safe, avoid rocking the boat, trust
That's
institutions.
pretty accurate, dude. Holy crap.
These were formulas designed for a world of stability. What might actually matter in the fourth turning is that instead of career prestige, practical skills that serve your community, instead of high income, resilience, food, shelter, security, strong networks, instead of status and image, courage, character, loyalty, networking for advancement, into building real alliances based on shared purpose and trust, accumulating wealth, instead surviving, leading, and building new systems that endure, personal independence, instead willingness to sacrifice for others and lead groups to survival or renewal. Interesting. Lastly, how you should start preparing mentally now. Develop anti-fragile skills, things like leadership, critical thinking, emergency response, real-world building, construction, farming, community organization, teaching. Anchor yourself in a clear set of values. Fourth turnings are chaotic. If you don't know your core principles, you get swept away by whatever ideology is loudest. Build true community, not online followers, but real physical networks of people you trust. Embrace sacrifice and hard missions. Easy success models are fading. The heroes of the next era are those who give the most, not who optimize for ease. Oof. Yeah, I mean, that hurts hearing that, just because I do want to be comfortable.
I mean, yeah.
You know, like, but the reality is that the comfort is, I think, what leads to the lack of fulfillment.
Yeah.
Stay healthy and strong, physically, emotionally, mentally. Stay adaptable. The bigger opportunity is most people think, oh no, the world's falling apart. But history shows the fourth turning is when the next founders are made. The ones who build new economies, new communities, new nations. If you step into the storm with purpose and clarity, you could become one of the people who shapes the next 80 to 100 years. Hard times create strong people. You at 25 are the generation that will decide what the new civilization looks like. It's terrifying and incredibly empowering.
Dude, that's what I'm saying though, is that everything it just said, like, in order to brace for this fourth turning, all those things are very difficult to do now.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It's very difficult to go and learn farming or to stay healthy or all those things. Even be connected with people in real life.
Building like a real authentic community.
Yes. Like, it's become increasingly more difficult to do those things.
Gosh.
Which is crazy to think about. But it might just be this crisis, whatever it could end up being. It might just be that brings us back to that, you know?
It actually is. Like, it's only because it's such a radically transformative event that people are forced to go back to those things. Otherwise, there's no reason to.
Yeah. That's so interesting, dude. Gosh, I don't. I feel like I don't really see it being a civil war.
Really?
I don't. Yeah. I could see it being like some kind of international war. I could see
Mhm.
that for sure. But I could see it being like a depression. Who knows? It could be all of them. Could be
Dude,
all of them, dude.
it really could be all of
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
No, I wonder because I think. Oh man, I guess I don't know. I feel like again when I think of it like this, what's the last thing that you would expect? Like
yeah.
what
I
is
mean,
really
yeah,
the last thing that we would expect? Honestly, is like for well, what is the most stable thing right now? It is like our physical American lives for the like the majority of Americans. It's like um, you know, when has the thought ever crossed your mind that you would like walk outside and see like a soldier
yeah.
like a
Right,
from
right.
another country on like the physical mainland of America,
Yeah,
right? I don't think it's necessarily going to be like someone in uniform because the odds are it's going to be more like mercenary or guerrilla type stuff. Like the old ways of war are like America's the only one that does that anymore of like big battles.
yeah.
The New Rules of War, that book is by Sean McFate, is
I
fantastic.
remember you talking about that.
And
Yeah,
it like really puts into perspective how America just keeps buying aircraft carriers that are never going to be used.
yeah,
Keep
yeah.
developing fighter jets that are never seeing combat because our enemies are like, we're not like, we can't compete with that. So we're going to go the complete opposite direction.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it could be something more along the lines. What would be, I think, most jarring would be something on the mainland of America. That would be the most jarring thing. Like some kind of attack, some kind of sleeper cell type thing, or
Yeah.
technological something or other.
Yeah.
Like that would be the most jarring thing. Because even right now, you can think about the wars in Ukraine and Russia and in Gaza with Israel. Just like it's so far away to us.
Yeah.
We're just like,
Yeah. Yes.
I think a lot of our generation is just like, it's hard to even understand
Mm-hmm.
what's actually happening because it's literally a world away.
Yeah.
But I mean, when was the last? I mean, it was literally, what did it say? Like over 100 years ago. Let me see what it said. So 1860 was the Civil War, which was a freaking long time ago.
I mean, yeah.
150 years ago, something like that. Was like the last time there was a major crisis, like physical
On
crisis,
like U.S. soil,
American
like,
soil.
wow.
Because the
I
next
mean,
one
yeah, like
after
to
that
that
was
scale, like you could say 9/11, you could
Mhm.
say like Pearl Harbor,
Oh
but
yeah, true.
but
Like
uh,
mainland,
yeah, like mainland,
massive scale
massive
mainland.
scale, like whole country. Yeah, it would have been the Civil War.
Mhm.
That's actually crazy to think about, dude. Gosh. I mean, right now, if some country just dropped like a massive EMP or like something just like wiped out the grid, even just for like a week, like how much damage would that do? You know?
It would be mass chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like people always talk about like us getting nuked or like even EMP'd or some kind of like device coming in. I think that again falls into like big battle category. Like I think because I think the US probably has a lot of defenses against something like that. I don't know. Like I'm totally.
So what do you think it should be then? Like in
I
your
feel
mind,
like it's more. I feel like it's more like
if it's
cell.
an attack on the mainland.
Yeah.
Like what do you think we would at least expect?
I feel like it's going to be more like sleeper cell stuff. Like coordinated, but all across. It could be like all across the United States. Like I think what really like mercenary, like that's what you're saying? Like small groups of like coordinated actual human beings. Could be, yeah.
Like just like attacking like various places.
I think that like the same. I think here's what I think. If I'm looking at in all my infinite experience, I'm allowed to have an opinion. Okay.
Yeah, for sure, dude. You're an American.
If I just look at if I'm an enemy to America, and I look at what happened for the last 10, 20 years in the Middle East.
Oh, okay.
And I just like wanted to copy and paste those tactics, I would do it by sending in a bunch of military-aged males through an open border. And then like just the same way they did 9/11, which was have a sleeper cell where you look like a normal person, and you just train and you learn how to make bombs and cause destruction in whatever way you possibly can, right? And because that's the thing is that all we've seen in the movies is like the soldier. That's what we think of as like the soldier. But in reality, it's the
in movies we think of like a Red Dawn.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
100%.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, we got this. Like everyone's got a gun, right? Like whatever. But I think it would be a lot more. I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for? Like suppressed or under the radar.
Kind of like subtle.
I think it would be a lot more subtle. I think that the point, like the main advantage would be confusion. It would be like, you don't know what the people look like. Like they all look different. They're all different nationalities. They're all different. They all are like, there's no specific uniform. You don't know who's who. Because then that creates like mass chaos. Because you don't know. It's like, is it my neighbor? Is it, I have no idea. And so you just end up creating like a massive confusion. And then you can, pull other levers of like, maybe like, I don't know, bombs or cybersecurity or cyber warfare or some kind of like disease outbreak. Like you could do all of them at the same time.
Yes.
Electrical outages.
To me, I think that's how you'd have to do it.
Yes.
It would have to be like waves of things to bring mass chaos. And disorder. But
that like in order to get someone into a point like at a power plant or whatever, where like they could go and work their way up the ladder, right? Like to get to the point where they could sabotage something like that, or in a lab, or whatever, is this like the exact same thing that the terrorists did for 9/11 is they learned to fly.
Yeah.
And became, I don't know if they became pilots, but they at least learned how to fly.
Yeah.
And like no one knew what was going on until it was happening.
Yes.
So I feel like, the thing about social media is like you can create mass chaos instantly because everyone's so well connected.
Yes.
If you have like you can get a video of someone and it's like, oh my gosh, I saw this person doing this. And like everyone's on social media, but like nobody's in uniforms. Nobody knows what they look like. Nobody knows who they are. Yeah. And so it's just like mass chaos. And so you have people start freaking out. I mean, it happens just like before a storm comes. Same thing happens. People go, they go get all the gas, they go get all the food. It takes like maybe 48 hours and there's no gas, no toilet paper, no food left.
Oh, dude, COVID was a perfect example of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, like a flu type disease, like crippled us, dude, for like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't buy toilet paper. You
Mhm.
know, like that's crazy.
It is crazy. And to your point, like to a society that has become so weakened by comfort, all of a sudden you're left with, I don't have any toilet paper, or
Yeah.
I don't know
I don't know how to grow food right now.
grow
you know,
food,
or like whatever.
I can't Amazon anything.
Yeah.
I can't
Yes.
go to the grocery store. Like, literally, what do I do?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yes. That is crazy to think about, bro.
And then if you like the thing about COVID, I feel like is it was like, I know all that stuff happened, and you saw how the supply chain got messed up so quickly too. But all you got to add is like just a little sprinkle of violence with like actually people like getting hurt,
Yes.
or coordinated attack somewhere, whatever, and you got a real recipe for people not knowing what the crap is going on.
Yes. Something like that though would take. Okay, if I am like, if I'm going full tinfoil hat right here, right? Something like that would take years
Yeah.
of like not only planning but
Mhm.
also execution
Mhm.
for a country like the United States, right? Like,
Yeah.
this was like the whole. I don't know if you've ever seen that video of some like dude from the Soviet Union or something like that in the 80s, and he's like
He's talking about
yeah, he's in like one of the Call of Duties.
he was in the
intro thing.
KGB.
Yes, and he talks about like how to systematically like manipulate and basically like depress an entire society, right? And how it takes like years of just like slowly feeding these different like ideals and different whatever to like slowly weaken the society. And so I mean, dude, you could argue in a lot of ways that that's what's happened in America.
Yeah.
Which is like, which it's almost like you're at that point, that society is primed for an attack like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay, check this out. So you're thinking of Yuri Bezmenov in the 1980s, gave interviews. His 1984 interview, that's weird that it was in 1984, where it described the KGB strategy to cripple or destabilize a society without firing a shot. He outlined 4 stages of ideological subversion or active measures designed to weaken a country from within. Demoralization, 15 to 30 years. The goal is to make a society lose faith in itself, its institutions, its history, its values, corrupt the education system, promote false values, attack traditional structures, normalize degeneracy, confusion, or relativism. There is no truth. Quote from Yuri, expose your generation to the ideology of the enemy. You cannot change their mind even if you show them authentic information. Key insight, once people are demoralized, they are no longer capable of assessing reality, even when shown clear evidence. 2, destabilization. 2 to 5, I think this is what we're in right now, 2 to 5 years. Goal, attack key institutions, economy, defense, foreign relations, law enforcement. How? Create political polarization, undermine trust in government and law, break down the economy, inflation, shortages, inequality, push radical ideas into the mainstream, make people demand more government intervention as saviors. Quote, the destabilization process targets essential structural elements of a nation. Number 3.
Okay, pause right there. So you said the first stage was how long?
15 to 30 years.
I mean, dude, that's a long time, bro.
Yeah.
It's like just long enough to where like it is subtle. It's like you don't notice, like you just don't notice the changes going on. Gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so you could say that like, that was maybe 1995 to 2020 or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then 2020 was the destabilization, because that's when COVID happened. You started to see everything become more radical. A lot of things were breaking down, and people wanted the government to save them.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
we literally got
think like the
vaccines. We got
all the riots that went on.
True, and the disbursements that we got.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this is
Okay,
number 3.
three. Okay.
Crisis. This is 6 weeks or less. The
It
goal.
says crisis.
Yeah. Create a violent shift, either revolution, civil war, foreign invasion, or total economic collapse. How? Ignite massive protests, riots, or coups. Collapse financial systems or the political order. Promote radical leaders promising solutions. Overwhelm the system so that normal people give up resistance. Quote, it may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis.
Dude, that is crazy. 6 weeks.
And then number 4 is normalization, or forever. The goal is to install a new order, authoritarian rule under the pretense of returning, quote, returning to normal. How? Use military or paramilitary force to restore peace, crush dissent permanently, rewrite history to favor the new regime, make the new abnormal situation seem permanent and acceptable. Quote, this will happen to America unless it gets rid of people who promote subversion.
He said that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
These are important notes. He stressed the KGB spent only 15% of its resources on espionage. 85% was spent on ideological subversion, influencing academics, media, culture, and policymakers to rot a society from within. Most of the work is done by the society itself. Once you demoralize a people, they do the rest themselves without needing much external pressure.
Gosh.
Final warning. Yuri said America was already deep into the demoralization phase by the early 1980s, and unless the country had a moral awakening, it would eventually collapse from internal rot. His famous quotes, you don't have to invade the United States. You just have to subvert it until it is so weakened it collapses under its own weight. The truth is not valued by the demoralized. Facts don't matter. A person who is demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Wow. The KGB's long-term strategy to cripple a society was never military invasion. It was to rot it from within by demoralizing its people, destabilizing its key structures, triggering a crisis, and then imposing normalization under an authoritarian regime. That is crazy to think about. That is
actually insane, dude. It's insane. I mean, dude, it all goes hand in hand, like with what you're talking about with that dude. Like, he wrote the book about like the wars and how America doesn't know how to fight a war anymore.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it all just makes sense. Like, how do you bring down a country of such massive power and like authority if you want to, right? Like, yeah, it has to be like an under the radar way, you know? And yeah, I mean, gosh, dude. I feel like in a lot of ways that was kind of what happened to Rome too. Mm-hmm. We just had this like world powerhouse dominating everybody, and then it like collapsed, like under its own. I mean, what I wonder though is, like, what is stage 3 for America? You know, right. Like, what's that crisis, dude?
That's why I think it has to be something on the mainland, because in order for it to be shocking enough, it has to be on.
I think you're right, dude. I think you're right.
Like, nothing would jar. I mean, when I think about myself, nothing would jar. Like, okay, hearing something happen in Europe, that would be crazy.
I see what you're saying now. Yes.
Seeing something happen
Yeah.
in Canada or Mexico, that would be a little bit crazier.
Yeah.
But seeing something happen in like Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, like seeing it happen on American soil would like genuinely shake me.
Yeah. Like, oh, we're actually under attack right now.
Like
that would be almost unbelievable.
exactly.
I would
It is the
I would
most
have to like make
unbelievable.
sure it's not a conspiracy. You know, like
It really is like the most unbelievable version to me. It would be the most shocking thing,
yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Like new virus, would be like, already happened.
Yeah.
You know, like another international war, I'd be like, whatever. But
Yeah.
like if something happened,
None of those would really cause a turn.
yeah,
Like a turning.
even
Right.
even the riots were like, okay, like it's violent, but it's not.
Yeah. They were a big deal,
Yeah,
but it wasn't big enough to like
I was like, wow, this is crazy.
yeah. Wow. You know, that's all it is.
Yeah, but even then, it was like in cities that were far away at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And it was seemingly all Americans too. You know, it was just like,
Yeah.
okay, I get why they're upset. But to see something come out of the blue that was like clearly extremely violent, and like no one knows who or what it's coming from or what it's about, and it happens like, you know, downtown Austin or whatever, that would be crazy.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Crazy.
Gosh. That's okay. To wrap this whole thing up,
Wrap it up.
that's what like I'm getting at with this whole thing of like our the battles that like we face or whatever. I feel like it's no less difficult. It's just different. You know?
Yeah.
That's all it is. Like if I'm a farmer in the medieval times,
It's all
Like-
I know.
yeah, I'm not worrying about like eating processed foods or, you know, like resisting the next like sexual ad that's going to be on like my computer or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm worried about
How am I gonna eat?
planning my crops, you know,
Yeah.
and like providing for my family, and like that's it. But I'm also worried about, you know, saying something wrong about like the roundness of the earth and being tortured a lot, right? Like there's that aspect that like I have, like me today,
Don't have to worry
I
about
have
that.
no idea what that's like.
Yeah.
But
True.
so it's just different. Because like now, like you said, I mean, like we were talking about the ChatGPT, like to be prepared for something like that, like we're not prepared. Like as a society, we are not prepared for something like that.
Okay, so that could be our final conclusion.
Yeah.
So how would I prepare for something like this based on our recent conversation as a 25-year-old male in Austin, Texas? Fortify your mind, build mental toughness and independent thinking. Why? In a demoralized society, critical thinkers and calm leaders are rare and incredibly valuable. How to prepare. Study real history. Understand how civilizations collapse and rebuild. Practice critical thinking. Limit propaganda. Cut back on mass media, doom scrolling, bias, news cycles, anchor in strong personal values, truth, courage, loyalty, faith, service, daily habits, meditation, journal, set small mental adversity challenges, cold showers, fasting, silent retreats. The goal being to stay calm when the world goes insane.
Wow.
2, strengthen your body, stay fit for service and survival. 4th turning, physical capability matters far more than in stable times. Maintain or build strength, weight lift, body weight strength, functional fitness, train endurance, long walks, rucking, hiking, learn self-defense, jiu-jitsu, boxing, another realistic martial art, basic survival training, first aid, urban survival, stay healthy naturally, maximize sleeping, clean eating, sun exposure, avoid heavy dependence on pharmaceuticals. Be a protector, not someone who needs protection. Build real community. Why? During societal breakdowns, real life networks are the number one survival factor, not government, not social media. How to prepare.
Wow. Yeah.
Find or form a brotherhood. Seek men of integrity, courage, and loyalty. Strengthen family bonds. Be active in your local community. Help others now. Build deposits of goodwill before the crisis hits. Create small mutual aid plans. If the grid goes down, we meet here. The goal being when bad things happen, you already have a tribe, not just contacts. And then number 4, gain useful skills. Become indispensable. In a destabilized world, practical skills become more valuable than fancy degrees. Fire making, water purification, basic mechanical repair, trade skills, carpentry, plumbing, electrical, gardening, cooking, leadership and conflict resolution, ability to meditate, organize, lead small groups, financial survival skills, basic investing in hard assets, gold, land, tools, side hustles that create value, not just content. Be the guy who knows how to fix, feed, or fight, not just talk. And then number 5, fortify your
feed or fight. That's some crazy alliteration right there, dude.
Fortify your resources. Think in layers of security. Why? If destabilization accelerates, those who prepare will ride the chaos. Personal emergency fund, physical preparedness, food supply, water storage, generator, self-defense tools, alternative plans. Where would you go if Austin destabilizes? Who would go with you? How would you communicate without cell service? You're never desperate. You can help others when most are helpless. And lastly, prepare your spirit, faith, philosophy, resilience. Why, when everything external shakes, only inner strength carries you through. How to prepare. Build a spiritual foundation. Christianity, Stoicism, a disciplined philosophical system, something bigger than you. Face mortality and sacrifice. Accept hardship and death without fear. Daily rituals, gratitude, prayer, reflection, morning mission setting. Who do I serve today? Goal is to stand strong when others lose their minds. Be a pillar for others to hold on to. Summary, how you should see yourself. You are not preparing to survive. You're preparing to lead others through the 4th turning. You are part of the first builders of the next cycle, the first fathers of the new communities, the first stewards of the new values, the first teachers of the reborn civilization. The future will belong not to those who adapt to the decay, but to those who carry the seeds of renewal within them. Inspired by the 4th turning is here.
What a way to end.
What a way to close it out.
Wow. Gotta start preparing, dude.
Fix, feed, and fight.
Fix, feed, or fight.
Not talk.
Gosh, dude.
ChatGPT,
What are you?
man.
Are you a fixer? I'm a feeder, bro. Okay.
I'm a fighter.
I'm a fighter. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, that is pretty wild.
Let's just hope and pray that the crisis isn't too much of a crisis, you know? Or that there's no crisis.
I'm afraid that's the point, Zach, is it has to be that's what I was reading about, is like the crisis has to be so cataclysmic that it leaves no other choice but for society to make a change.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I mean, it makes sense.
People get upset about like the political system or the food system or social media, like literally everything that we talk about, or people that are upset by, like this needs to change. Like the only way it changes is through necessity. And the only way you have necessity typically is through
a crisis.
Through a crisis. So
that's so crazy.
That's the formula for change, for massive change like this. Unfortunately.
Well. The good thing though is that the high is right behind it. So
and that'll be the next episode.
There we go.
No, that's true. The 20 years of a high after that are pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well, I feel like that was pretty good.
Yeah. Good stuff. I was not expecting to talk about that today.
Me neither. Well, thank you all for listening. Hope that you got something out of that or were stimulated in some way. I certainly was. Appreciate you hanging out with us, tuning in, and we will catch you on the next episode of the Second Floor Experience. Peace.
Peace out.
I want to talk to you. Not now. Later. No, now.